Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky addressed his people earlier, saying Ukrainians have resisted Russian forces 4 times longer than Russia expected. He says he understands that many feel very tired after 16 days of war, but that Ukrainians are proud people who won't give up their land or their freedom. Let's bring in foreign correspondent Maggie Rulli in Lviv, Ukraine, along with Phil Lipoff across the border in Poland and Alex Prechet in Washington. Maggie, a senior U.S. defense official says that Russian forces are closing in on Kyiv. What's the latest on the fighting?
Yeah, Dan, Russian forces are advancing much slower than most people thought, but Dan, they are still advancing. They've inched forward at least 3 miles since yesterday, making them just 9 miles outside the capital city of Kyiv. And U.S. officials say Russia's intent remains clear. They are trying to encircle the capital city, but like you just read out from President Zelensky here in Ukraine, he's also very adamant, saying Ukrainians are not going to surrender. He knows they're tired, but this is not the time to give up. They are going to fight until the very end. So this is ongoing, but really only just getting started, Diane.
And Phil, Warsaw's mayor is now appealing for international help, saying the city is becoming overwhelmed by refugees. What are you seeing in Lublin, and what are you hearing about how Poland is doing in general?
Well, Lublin is a little bit different from Warsaw, where we are now, Diane, because so many of the refugees come across the border and want to come here to Warsaw. It's a city of about 2 million, and there, we know, are hundreds of thousands of refugees here in the city. The mayor is making that plea for a very real reason. We saw it yesterday. We went to a sports arena that usually basketball is played there. Now it's got 300 beds. We talked to the head of social services for Warsaw. He tells us there are about 2,000 beds set up in this city for refugees. And there are hundreds of thousands of refugees here. He needs help because more refugees are also coming across the border, Diane.
And Alex, President Zelensky now says that he's ready to talk directly with President Putin. What's the latest on the diplomatic front?
Well, Diane, that news coming from a deputy of Zelensky telling a U.S. news outlet that President Zelensky is willing to talk and ready to talk directly with Russian President Vladimir Putin, but that deputy adding that Zelensky was not willing to concede or have any compromise to some of Russia's asks. So it's really unclear what could be what could be gained from a meeting like that right now.
And Maggie, President Zelensky says that many regions of Ukraine now have no water, no power, no heat. How are people there getting by?
Yeah, Dan, some of these stories are just horrific. We've been following Mariupol in the southern portion of this country so closely right now. We know there are still hundreds of thousands of people trapped in this city. No food, no water, no heat. There are reports that when they do try to leave, even if they're flying a white flag to show their civilians, they're still getting attacked by Russian forces. They cannot leave the city right now. Help cannot get in. The mayor there is simply calling it something out of the apocalypse. It's tough to even imagine, Diane.
And Phil, Vice President Kamala Harris was just in Poland. She said thousands more U.S. troops have been deployed there in the last few days, along with 2 Patriot missile defense systems. So what impact could that have, and what role are U.S. troops playing there?
Well, it's important for the Polish government and for the Polish people at large to see Vice President Kamala Harris come here. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was here yesterday as well, all reaffirming their support and commitment to NATO allies, specifically Poland, which sits right there on the border with Ukraine. And everybody in this country getting a little bit nervous as Vladimir Putin and his army makes its way, across the country toward the border. Those defense systems are here for just that. Defense. Nothing in this country right now, not the American troops or those missile systems, are in any kind of offensive posture.
And Alex, President Biden is expected to announce new economic moves against Russia this morning. How significant is it if they do go ahead and change the trading status of Russia? And what more can the administration do?
Well, Diane, this is very significant. I mean, first, going against Russian gas and oil was the big one, right? But these increased tariffs on things like precious metals, stone, iron, fertilizer. We could see if tariffs start affecting alcohol, maybe even some food that comes out of Russia, continuing to constrict Russian pockets and definitely getting Putin's attention.
All right, Maggie Rulli, Alex Prechet, and Phil Lipoff, thank you all.